This is Ponderosa Pine Bark. It was sent to me by a viewer. It's such a cool looking piece of bark that he sent them out to me to see what we could do with them. Today, we're going to try to stabilize them. Now there's a possibility there's already a video out here of me trying this and failing miserably. I don't know if I ended up making that video work or not, but as of right now, that project's still not working. I almost forgot. This is not required, but it's kind of fun. It's fun to see the difference before and after. So this weighs 314 grams. Alright, so now we can go back into the stabilizing chamber. Now stabilizing resin is different than casting resin. What it does instead is it penetrates into the object and then it gives it sort of a structure, a rigidity. As you can see, the bark floats. I made this weight a while back and holds everything down. And all we're going to do is suck all of the air out of the bark. And all of these bubbles, that's just air being pumped out of the bark. And you can see it, all the air bubbles here. This has been pumping air out 11.5 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and release the vacuum. All these air pockets are going to try to suck air back into them, and instead they're going to suck in resin. We're going to let it soak in there for a while. The bark has been soaking in here for the last 12 days. Considering how badly the last stabilizing of this worked, 12 days might actually be a benefit. Oh look, it just pops right up. Like, just pops right up. It's a pretty good sign that it didn't make a darn bit of difference. Alright, so I'm just gonna wrap this whole thing up in aluminum foil. And that goes into the toaster oven. It's 220 degrees for 45 minutes. It feels lopsided, and it's pretty easy to tell if you look here that the resin pooled up on the bottom. And if we go to our scale, we can see that it has definitely got some weight. It's 462 grams, but I think the majority of that weight is right here on this edge. This material just doesn't appear to be retaining the stabilizing resin. I want to show you what showed up in my P.O. box. It's a knife without a handle. I got a letter from Colum Black Byron. They are an awesome knife blank, hammered Damascus steel, which means it will take a great edge, hold for a long time. I'm a chef and I can go for months without needing to sharpen these. If you want to see how I made them, I have a video on my YouTube channel. I'll put a link up here. So he sent me this really cool knife blank. I went to his website and he sells knife handles with black epoxy and aluminum shavings and clear resin with Fruit Loops. So I'm pretty sure that means he's a fan of this channel. So we're going to try and make a knife handle from this. The tang has these little notches on either side that are probably for strength, and we're just going to drill a hole on either side of the main hole for those. And we're just going to mix up some resin that will secure the tang in the handle. Here's my knife handle, and here's my knife blank, we're calling it. I wrapped the knife for two reasons. First off, to protect me from it. It is stupid sharp. And secondly, to protect it from me, because I don't want to get any resin on it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just leaking out a hole in the front here. Look at this ridiculous looking thing. It is completely covered in tape now. So I've got it wrapped up like a sock in tape. I'm gonna top it off with resin. By golly, I think we've done it. Okay, so I'm going to put the knife blank. I'm going to put the knife blank into this tape monster, and we're going to let this all cure. Wow, what beautiful things we make on this channel. I say no thank you to so many sponsorship opportunities on this channel. So when I tell you how much I love Audible, know that it's something that I use on an almost daily basis. I have a 10-minute commute to work and a 40-minute commute home. I don't understand the laws of traffic. All I know is on the way home, I get to listen to a book. And some days I will find myself in my driveway listening to the end of a chapter before finally going inside. There are thousands of titles to choose from at Audible, which makes it so usable. Because whatever you're interested in, there's going to be a selection for you. The series that I just finished began with the book called Steelheart. Imagine a world where supervillains existed, but there were no superheroes. There are 3 main books in the Reckoner series. All of them are fantastic. If you're interested in signing up with Audible, it is something that I can recommend to you without hesitation. Simply go to audible.com/Peter Brown. That's audible.com/Peter Brown. Or simply text Peter Brown to 500-500. PETERBROWN. And I want to once again thank Audible for sponsoring this video. It's actually sanding incredibly easily. We can begin giving this a shape. Oh, you gotta be super careful when you're sanding this stuff because it just sands away so fast. It can just change your design in a heartbeat, which some of you may or may not have already noticed that this is actually a different handle than the one that you saw a little while ago. I was watching the camera more than I was watching what I was doing, and I soon had a shape that I wasn't happy with. I'm gonna go ahead and transition over to hand sanding. And all I'm doing is hand sanding this transition. I'll be surprised if this takes more than a couple minutes. And I'm just using 120 grit sandpaper. Your fingers can feel any imperfections better than you can see them. So, it feels to me like a really smooth transition between those two parts. For that exposed edge, I'm just going to dip it directly into the container here. I want to make sure that that gets a nice coating as well. Wipe on poly dries really fast. It's a nice film finish. I could probably put on 3 coats before the day's over. Damascus steel and Ponderosa pine bark. So this is the second, trying to figure out how to hold this. I want you to see it without me like slicing myself open here. As much as I disliked the shape of the first handle, I love the shape of the second handle. I ended up going through the exact same steps to get it to this point, and then you saw all I did was round these corners off at the belt sander. I also debated heavily whether or not to cut this end off. It's definitely long for a knife handle. I don't care if it doesn't work as well because I think it looks good. More time in the stabilization chamber, I think it actually did work for it. It feels like a soft wood. Actually, it feels a lot like pine, which is fitting because it's pine bark. First off, it was a much smaller piece. Second off, we spent 12 hours pumping air out of it and then 12 days sitting in the stabilizing resin. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. For those keeping track, this was plan B. So we are done with plan A and plan B. You've already seen plan D, and we will never speak of plan C again.